Hi guys, welcome back to Taylor Talks in Quarantine. Alright, so I got a request to do this video. It is a subject that I know a lot of people are asking about right now, and a lot of people are very concerned about it. In this video, I am going to be giving some tips and some tricks and a little bit of warning, just because this subject is kind of intimidating. It's all about bangs. I know a lot of people have them, and if you're like me, you're religious at trimming your bangs. Like right now, my bangs are in my eyes and they're bugging me, and I tend to trim my hair, or at least my bangs, sometimes once a week because they annoy me. Other times it's about every 2 weeks, just depending on how fast my hair grows. And with all the salons that are closed right now, I know it's really hard to come in and get that free bang trim that we offer and a lot of other salons offer. So I'm going to be showing you some tricks on how to do them yourself, because I know a lot of people, and when they're panicked and stressed, tend to trim and cut bangs themselves. So I'm going to try to eliminate some errors and some trauma from cutting bangs in the wrong way, and hopefully give you guys a little bit of caution when doing this, because I'm going to be using my shears that I use every single day, and I'm going to be using some just random pair of scissors that I have at home. Like, it's academic scissors. They're very common. I know a lot of people tend to have these at their house. So I'm going to show you the difference between using kitchen scissors and hair scissors. The main reason why there's a difference is because when you look at the blade itself, it might be a little hard to see. Shears tend to be a little bit on the wedge side, so they are smaller on the blade, but they get wider out. Whereas with kitchen scissors or any other household scissors, they're pretty much the same width the entire time. So if you hold them up together, hopefully you guys can see this, there's kind of a huge difference in the blade length. Hair scissors are meant only for hair. So when you cut them with paper, it can damage the blades and a few other things. If you try to cut it with a few other things, it can damage the blades. Kitchen scissors you can use for anything, apparently, except for fabric. There's fabric scissors for that. But since they are a thicker blade, it tends to do different things to the hair. So I'm going to be showing you the difference. I have two lovely assistants here with me today. I have the wonderful Debbie. She is going to be my kitchen shears volunteer. I'm so sorry, girl. I hope we can fix it afterwards. And then I have the lovely Susie right here. How to be doing side swept bangs and also straight across bangs. I'm going to show you what not to do. I'm going to show you what to do, and hopefully after we get out of quarantine and salons are back open, we're not going to have a lot of errors. So we'll get started. All right, so we're going to do the kitchen scissors first, because I know that's what everybody has at home, and hopefully I can heed you guys from doing that. We're going to take my comb and we're going to section our hair. When you section bangs, you want to start at the apex of the head, so where it starts getting to the tallest. Kind of brush it all forward. The more hair you add, the thicker your bangs are going to be. So if you want kind of a thinner bang, you don't want to go all the way to the apex. But if you want to go full bang, you definitely want to go to the apex. I'm going to be doing the apex full bang just because I want to show you guys, because sometimes wispy bangs can be a little bit hard to see on camera. So I figured, go big or go home. Okay, so after you figure out where the apex is, you're going to make a triangle. Let me move this down so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay. Hopefully you guys will be able to see. Okay, so after I find the apex, I'm going to find that, and I'm going to make a line down to her temple. Kind of fix that a little bit, make it prettier. will tell you guys, mannequin hair is a little bit different from human hair. It is 100% human hair, but they kind of react weird because like no one's hair is really that thin when you part it. Like that looks like she's balding, and no one's hair is like that. So I know there's going to be a little bit of a difference while doing this compared to doing it on an actual human, but I don't want to use kitchen scissors on one of my roommate's hair right now. So, okay, so you're gonna make kind of a half moon, triangle, whatever you want to call it. And we are going to start with side swept bangs. Just because straight across bangs tend to be a little bit shorter. And with mannequins, hair does not grow back. So we are just going to make do with what we have. I'm gonna grab a couple clips to section her up. Why I left my clips on the other side of the table, I don't know. I'm gonna section the hair that I don't want out of the way, because I don't want to accidentally grab it. Okay, so when you do side swept bangs, it really depends on the part. Susie here likes to part on the side, like right in this area. Her part line's usually right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to section her bangs out along with that part line that she uses. So we got this little piece that we're going to take out. And I'm going to, for right now, give it its own clip and pin it out of my way. And then we got all this hair. So this is the hair that she wants, and Miss Susie here wants her bang to start at her cheekbone. So if you take your hair and kind of like gently lay it to right where her cheekbone is, you can see that we are going to be cutting off quite a few inches. Now the first thing you do not want to do is just go in and blunt cut it. That's going to give you blunt, jagged bangs that are really hard to fix. I'm going to turn her a little bit more towards the camera. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to comb her hair in the opposite direction of where she lays her bangs. When you're cutting bangs, you want to try to, one, make sure not to put too much hair in your hand because that's going to create uneven tension. And you also want to use very loose tension while you're doing it, because when I pull it flat down like this, it's going to create a lot of tension against her scalp. And then once I release that tension, it's all going to spring up, which is when you run the risk of calyx showing up in a really bad way, or it being too short, which no one likes it when their bangs are too short. It's fine when they're a little long, just not too short. All right, so this is gonna be with kitchen scissors. And be nice to me. It's been a very long time since I tried to cut hair with kitchen scissors. So we're gonna try this. So I'm gonna divide her bang into some subsections and go to the length I want. With side swept bangs, since they tend to go at an angle, you want to hold your fingers at an angle. So again, I'm going to comb down lightly, and with some very light tension, I'm going to kind of over direct it in the opposite direction and go to an angle. And then we're going to go in and cut below the fingers, not above. When you go above, that's going to make it too loose, and there's also way more tension up here than down here. When you cut below, it's going to create a nice, better tension, and to where you're not going to have any mistakes. Hopefully. I'm going to show you how to fix those later. But what I'm going to do, most people don't like it when their bangs are super blunt. So instead of going in straight across, I'm going to just kind of lightly kind of piece it like this. Also, good word of warning, do not cut past your second knuckle. I know I just did, and I almost cut myself with it. When you cut past your second knuckle, you have a little bit of a different tension in here than you do in here. So it's kind of uneven, and you want to try to make it as even as possible. And also you run the risk of cutting yourself because your knuckle right here and your skin right there is a little bit fleshier than it is right there. Try to get all those little pieces. Okay, so we have our first subsection, and then we're going to take another section, our next section. You're going to comb it in the same direction, and we're going to use part of the hair that we used in the first section as our guide. So comb it down, and you see where the guide is. Hopefully, yeah, you can kind of see it with my fingers. And we're just going to follow that same line. These scissors are so loud. I really hope this isn't making a bunch of clacking sound on the camera. If it is, I do apologize. All right. Let's take a look at her. Combed a little too hard over there. All right, so she's got some nice fringe, as you can see, hopefully. It's got a nice angle, but if you look at it closely, it's kind of very choppy, right? Okay, so choppy bangs is a thing that can happen with anyone with any type of scissors. So what we hairstylists like to go in and do is texturize a little bit. Okay, that piece I penned out, I'm gonna bring back in for that other side, and you're gonna direct it in the opposite direction and follow that same guide you made with that first front piece. All right, so we got some nice bang. Okay, so she wants her bangs to be a little bit less full. So what we tend to do is we tend to lift the bang up in a way, and then we go in like this, just to kind of break up those lines a little bit. We don't want to do too much to where we're losing length. We just kind of want to make it a little bit wispier. Let me do the full bang and show you. This girl's got some thick hair. Doesn't look like it on the head scalp, but when you get into it, it's actually pretty thick. Take my next section. Now when you texturize like this, you want to be really careful. You want to go in straight up. You don't want to go at an angle because then you're going to take off a huge section of your hair, and that's going to be bad. I'll show you guys what I mean in a second. Okay. Still a little bit on the blunt side, but not as much as it was. So now you can see it has a little bit of wispiness to it. It's not as blunt as it was. It's still pretty blunt, but it's not as blunt. Okay, so I'm going to now go to my other mannequin and show you what side swept bangs will look like with hair shears. So once again, we are going to do the apex. So it's right about there on the head. And we are going to make a triangle down to our temples, just like we did before. hair out of the way. Come on this side and make another triangle. This one's head's not working with me, I apologize. All right, where'd that clip go? And then that out of the way. So we're gonna go based off the part, and this one part's on the opposite side. So what we are gonna do is turn your head this way to face you. I know mannequins have a really dead eye, scary look, and I do apologize for that. But we are going to take her hair, and she also wants her side swept bangs with the cheekbone, so we're gonna start there, cut about that much length off. Start with a little subsection and go to measure with loose tension, comb it, and trim. Take the next section, comb it with loose tension. And again, even with my regular shears, we're going in at an angle versus straight across, because we kind of want to make it nice and piecey a little bit versus super blunt. Right. So now that we have a nice beautiful angle going, we're going to take this other piece that goes on her part side, and we're going to overdirect it the opposite way, again with loose tension, and trim it with that same guide we just had. Right. Part her up so you can see her beautiful eyes again. Alright, so as you can see, it already has a little bit more of a wispiness to it. It tends to be a little bit blunt when you brush it all down still, but as you can see, it's a little bit more wispy than what it was originally. I'm going to go in and texturize the exact same way I just did on the other mannequin. Just because I want to make sure the results are as exact as possible. This little section. Hope you settle down. I hope you're all good now. All right, part it back up. So one bad part about getting your bangs trimmed is they always tend to be in your face, and there's like no way around it. All right. Try to pin her other hair back a little bit more so you can see that ankle. Okay. So as you can see, it's a lot wispier. It has that really pretty diagonal, and it looks more like what side swept bangs you would want. I know it's in her eye, so it's giving me a little bit of like those scene kid emo vibes right now. That's because earlier when I was blow drying her hair, I blew it all forward just because I knew I was going to be doing side swept and straight across bangs on her. So she's trying to hide her face. But normally it gives like this beautiful angle that just kind of like pushes back onto itself just to hide and open up your face. Get her hair back a little bit more. this one, yes, it still has that angle, and yes, I blow dry her hair the same way, but the difference is I feel like it's more choppy. I'm gonna hold these up side by side, see where you can see them. And if you notice, this one is a little bit more on the smooth textured side, whereas this one's a little bit more on the choppy side. Yes, they both have a nice angle going for them, and yes, they're both full bangs, but I feel like this one's just a little bit choppier, and I'm not 100% happy with it. But that's okay. So we're gonna move on to the straight across bangs now. We're gonna once again start with the kitchen scissors. Try to say shears and scissors at the same time. It never works. Alright. So this time what we're gonna do is since she's already pinned into that half moon, we're gonna keep that half moon sectioning that we have. And instead of parting her hair to the side, like we would, we instead are just gonna have it all straight in her face. So first, what we want to do is figure out where exactly we want her bangs to start. I like my own bangs just below my eyebrow. So we're just going to do that on her. So right below her eyebrow is right about there. Cut some length off again. And I like to start with the middle section. What we are going to do is create a small line, and that's going to be called our guide. It doesn't have to be super small. I usually recommend less than an inch, but a little bit more than a quarter inch, depending on how thick the hair is. With her, I'm probably going to do about half inch. Okay. Her hair is going crazy now. Okay, so normally with side swept bangs, you want to create a little bit of tension because of that over directing that you're doing. With straight across bangs, it's usually best to create as little tension as possible. I'm actually gonna clip this part out of my way a little bit so you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. So what you could do if you have really good tool control is use your comb to go in and cut. But if you don't feel good about being able to do that, you can comb down lightly, have your fingers follow behind, and then just wherever you want them to stop, just lightly clamp down just enough to hold the hair in place. And even though they're straight across bangs, which tend to be more on the blunt side, we are still gonna go in with our shears pointed up versus across to help give that like nice textured look. Just gonna go in again. And we got our guide. So as you can see, got a nice beautiful guide. It's very in your face. And we are gonna continue. With straight across bangs, I tend to make more subsections just because side swept bangs you can push out of the way a little bit easier. With straight across bangs, they're very, very hard to push out of the way. So we're gonna take another about the same size section. And the thing that most people tend to forget when they're cutting their hair, yes, it is straight across for straight across bangs. But the thing is, your head is round, it's not necessarily square. So you have to kind of build in that round shape to help it make it look straight across. Sorry, there's a hair in my eye. If you just go in completely straight across, like I see some tips are to use Scotch tape and cut with your hair taped down to your head. You run the risk of it looking very awkward because it doesn't go round. They tend to look off when you do them perfectly straight. And also, when you do like the Scotch tape trick, that doesn't count for a calyx in your bangs. Like if you look at mine, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and sometimes 5 calyx in my bangs. So my bangs are extremely difficult to trim. I try to do them myself sometimes, but it's usually just best to have one of my coworkers do it. Thanks guys, I love you. Most people have calyx in their hair, so when you don't think about having that tension to account for those calyx, they're just going to spring up and it's not going to be cute. But anyways, back off my tangent. I'm going to go back to cutting her bangs. So we're going to try to get the same tension and keep it very close to her head, because when you lift your hair up, you create elevation, and with bangs you don't want elevation. So we're going to go in and we're going to kind of go at a slight angle. As you can see, my fingers are a little bit angled to count for the fact that her head curves. It is really hard to cut with kitchen scissors, guys. I don't know how people do this. My thumb doesn't, my shears are usually looser than this, so like my thumb doesn't know how much tension to actually use. And yes, I realize I'm giving her more of those Zooey Deschanel bangs with that curve. That's more to be a little bit dramatic about showing you how to do that curve. Not everybody wants those that just go frame around their eye, and that's totally okay. But even when you want it to not curve around your eyes, you still have to create that angle. Otherwise, like I said, it's going to look kind of weird. But if you like that look, that's awesome. You do you. I'm not going to tell you it's wrong if you're truly happy with it. I'm all about hair making people feel good, and versus, oh, you can only cut your hair this one way and otherwise it doesn't look as good. I don't want to be that hairdresser. Don't let me be that hairdresser. Alright, so I got that side done. And we're going to shift our head a little bit and do the same thing. I tell you guys, this mannequin has a lot of hair. Or maybe it's just hard for me to cut with these shears. Alright, so this is her bangs without any texturizing after we just do the straight across. It's very blunt, and this is what I tend to see in videos of people cutting their own hair at home with kitchen scissors. It's blunt, it's sticking out. Honestly, I'm getting a little bit of a Joe Exotics vibe right now with this. Like, I know her hair's not a mullet, but like, we just pull that back a little bit and leave some of it down. Little Joe, right? Yeah. Okay. So enough about that. We are going to go in and texturize again. Kind of see if we can break up this bluntness a little bit, because like, even when you want blunt straight across bangs, you don't want this blunt. This is not cute. So we're gonna see what we can do to make this work. Gonna go in again and texturize the exact same way, just going straight in and snipping. When you do this, you kind of want to like look for the pieces that are a little bulky. I know this is really hard to see on the camera, especially with her dark hair. But when you go in, if you see some sparse pieces next to like a big chunk of hair, you want to go more towards the chunk and do this versus the sparse hairs, because the sparse hairs are just going to get sparser. Whereas you want the bulk of the hair to kind of match up with that sparseness. I hope that makes sense. I know it makes sense in my head, but like saying things out loud are kind of different than in your head. If at any point you have a question about any of this or of any of the other videos I've done, please reach out to me and so I can explain it to you a little bit better. Sometimes me putting it in like type is a little bit easier for me to explain things than to say it out loud, because my brain goes a million miles an hour, so it's kind of fun. Hence why I also have a stuttering problem sometimes. But that's okay, we're working on it. We're getting a little less blunt. I mean, still blunt, but a little less. Getting to the point where I can work with it. I feel like it texturizes her hair all day. Okay, let me take a look at you, ma'am. My mannequin stand can stop trying to fall off the table. Okay, we're a little uneven now. That's okay. All right, I think that's as good as it's gonna get. So it's a little less blunt. As you can see, it's not like a harsh line. It still is kind of blunt. Goodness, can't get these off my hand. Like, as you can see, it's still pretty blunt. A little bit more tolerable than what it was a minute ago, but still kind of bad. I know she's a mannequin, so I know it's gonna look worse on her than it is on a real person, but this is still kind of bad. All right, so we're gonna move on to the other mannequin. All right, so we still have that sectioning on her as well. Take that clip back that I stole earlier and pin it back up. And this time we're gonna grab real shears. Not that kitchen scissors aren't real scissors, but when I say real shears, I tend to mean more like hair shears. Get you out of my way. Okay, I'm gonna do the same sectioning and lightly comb down, see where we want it. I do that right there. And again, go straight up. Ooh, we got a cowlick right there. Hopefully we can fix that. Yes, mannequins do have cowlicks sometimes. Don't know why. Don't really know how. But as you can see, her bangs wanting to go more towards the side. Could also be because of how I blow dried her hair, maybe. But if she has a weird gap, please forgive me for that. And see if I can fix it. The other thing I need to mention is anytime you cut your hair short, especially when it's been so long for a while, it is going to spring up, which could be part of the problem with my other mannequin over there. Because you can see it's kind of doing the same a little bit over here. If your bangs do that, is like I know mine do that. I know a lot of my clients' hair does that. If they do that, give it a couple of days. You may hate them at first, but once they get used to their new length, they will settle down a little bit. Hair tends to have a mind of its own. It's kind of weird and annoying, but it's what we got. Gotta make do with it. All right. So her hair is kind of doing the same thing, where it's poofing up a little bit, getting another Joe Exotic vibe. But once it settles down, it'll be more like that. And yes, I realize it's a little uneven on that side. I'll fix that in a second. But it doesn't look as blunt. At least to me, it may to you guys on this camera, because I know mannequin hair is kind of hard to see on the camera. So we're just gonna go in. I'm gonna first fix that little unevenness. I take forever to do bangs, trim bangs, whatever you want to call it, fringe. That's just me, just because I've had several bad bang incidences. Some of them I have given myself, but some of them have been done by other people. So I'm very picky, and I want to make sure that you're going to be happy with them as soon as you leave my chair. I'm going to go ahead and texturize a little bit. Ma'am, please stay on the table. That would be great right now. We're almost done. Right. It's a little bit better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wet both of their hair down, just kind of get it to lay down a little bit, and show you what the difference is once they're fully dry. So I'll be back with that. Alright, so I just finished wetting them down and re-drying their bangs, and this is the results. So as you can kind of see, hers has a little bit more of a jaggedness to hers, whereas hers is still a little bit on the blunt side. They both have calmed down, which is great. But yeah, I feel like this one's a little bit more wispy than this one, which is usually what you want in bangs. Don't know if you guys are going to be able to tell very well. But yeah, so that is the difference between kitchen and hair shears. Before I completely end this video, I'm going to show you what it looks like when you cut your hair completely straight across versus kind of around. It's going to be fun, I tell you what. So this time I'm just going to go in with my comb to help me create that straight line. And I'm going to give her not baby bangs, but some shorter bangs. And this is going to be really to show you what it would look like. Use kitchen shears without doing the bevel. This mannequin's gonna hate me so much after this. And these shears are so dull, or not used to hair, that it's kind of bending the hair more than cutting, which is causing me to have to do more to it to actually get it to cut versus my normal shears. So these got a little bit of baby bang a little too fast. But that's okay. Sometimes you just need a good baby bang. But yeah. When you cut your bangs straight across without the bevel, it looks like a wig. This looks like I can take it off her head, which I can't. But it looks like I almost could because it just doesn't go with her face quite right, as you can kind of see. Although I do think she has a good bone structure for baby bangs. Wouldn't you agree? Excuse that hair on her face. But yeah, so that's what all I'm going to talk about today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I basically have nothing else to do besides play with mannequins and make these videos. So ask questions, suggest new videos, whatever you want to do. Thanks for watching, and if you take anything away from this video, please, 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 please wait till we're back open in the salon. I know I miss my clients dearly, and I know I'm not the only hairstylist out there that misses their clients. So we would much rather you wait and come in with super overgrown bangs or roots versus you come in and we have to fix whatever you decided to do to your own hair at home. I know it's hard to say wait, just please for me. I know I'm not going to be doing anything to my hair, cut-wise, color-wise, or anything until we're back in the salon. So if you feel bad about having bad roots and long bangs, just know I'm right there with you. But that's all for today. I hope you enjoy this video, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye, guys.